So with Puffin out of the water now, and you can see a little cold, temperatures dropped off pretty significantly only last day. So we're starting in on projects, and some of the bigger projects we're going to get to, but I'm knocking out a handful of small projects, so I'll show you what they are. There's a couple of deck organizers that I'm taking care of. So it's always amazing to me how quickly the boats get completely disheveled when we pull them out, because we've got so many projects to work on in the off season that we just start in straight away. So when you have an older boat, you're always going to have a projects list, and this is our first full off season with Puffin. So there's just a lot of things to accomplish. So I'm going to knock out some of the small things today, but you can see I've already got the headliner down so I can access all of my wiring that's coming through. Also access these spots where the bolts come through for the deck organizers. So I'm replacing those sheaves, and what happens is they're made out of a Delrin, and you can see that one's pretty jacked up. I was actually able to find a whole set of these, so I've got 2 of them for this side for the expensive price of $1 a piece. So it's kind of nice, saved me about 20-30 bucks. But they get brittle and they split, and the line just kind of shoves into them, so we're replacing those. Because got to have nice smooth operating sheaves for our halyards. So show you what that looks like. So on the old boat, sometimes it's not easy. What's happened is on the inside of here is a sleeve, and the stainless is stuck to that sleeve, so it doesn't want to slide out. So now I got to try and get underneath this to pry up while I spin it, because you can see it's loose, but it's not coming loose of the sleeve, and it's starting to bend. So the other way to do it is to heat it up. I don't have a torch with me, but we may have to get to that later. All right, so the side cutters got it. You can use the wedge on the side cutters to get underneath it, and sometimes you can get it squeezed and it pries, and that's what I was able to do. So you don't want to cut the bolt, but that got it moving, and I should be able to back it out from there. All right, so I still wasn't getting it, so what I did is I went in and split the sheave that was in there so that I can get down to the sleeve. So we're gonna get that out of there, and I'll get a pair of pliers on that little sleeve that's in there, and I'll hold it while I turn this, and that should break it loose. So what happened is this screw was through this sleeve. It just got kind of welded to it, so we had to get it knocked loose and pried out. But now that that's out, we're good. So these will slide into the new used sheaves. Then that will go down through, and we can put those in. So one of the things you always find in my little maintenance drawers on my boats at the bottom is some sheets of sandpaper, because they don't take up a lot of room and I can just keep them down there. And rather than a sanding block, I always have them if I need to do touch-ups. So I always just have a couple sheets. I'll have some 80 grit and then some 220 or 180. I always just keep those on. So I'm going to use some of that to clean these sheaves up a little bit. I'm going to use that 220 just to kind of clean it off a little bit. I don't want to use any solvent on this because I don't want to damage the integrity of the material. So just going to sand it off a little bit. Now the reason I sand them off, and it's with metal ones as well, especially with your sheaves that are up the mast or anything that's running metal halyards, I just like to smooth them off to make sure there's no burrs or no catches. It's not about cleaning it, it's more so just making sure that it's nice and smooth, so that everything pulls across or rolls on it nice and easy. So it takes a couple seconds, and if you've got it off already, you might as well just take care of it. Okay, time for a little trick. So I do a lot of work on these boats by myself, and there's often times where I have to hold something on the deck while turning something down below, or vice versa. So for instance, I have to turn this nut, but the screw is turning as well, so it won't tighten. So what I'm going to do is use a pair of vice grips. And I'm going to put the vice grips on here, making sure that it doesn't go over top of the head. of the bolt, or the nut. I'm going to clamp that down, and then when it turns, it's going to catch on something, so I can spin the top and tighten it without actually being down here. Now, sometimes when you're getting parts from salvage or online to replace old components, they don't always match up right. So, for instance, we've got two different size inner diameters, but this one will fit in there. So what I got to do is press this one out so I can put this one in. So the trick is, I got a socket that will fit over top of this and allow this piece to fall into it. And then just a nut driver bit for your drill matches up perfectly to go through there. So I'm at the yard, I don't have a press, so this is what I'm going to use in my hammer, whatever I can find. All right, so there's the old one. Well, actually old one, new one. But you can see that the outside diameters are also different. So that means I'm gonna have to drill this out to receive this. So I gotta get a good measurement on this with the drill bit. This is aluminum, so it should drill out pretty easily. I just don't wanna score the outsides as I grip it. But then I can run that in there and we'll be all set. So a little drill action, and we now have the proper size in there. So we got all of those old busted, broken, and brittle sheaves replaced, which is good. So it's nice to knock those little projects out. Our halyards will go up and down nice and smooth. We won't have to worry about that. So I did have to tear out half of the headliner for the interior just to get to these. Now, we do have a lot of access that's going to have to happen for these when it comes to the electrical refit project, which is a big project. It's going to take a while to do that. I'm going to leave all this stuff down so that I don't have to take it back down later. I was going back and forth whether or not I was going to actually cover the boat or not, and I think I'm going to leave it uncovered. I may regret that, but it's going to give me a lot more access to the deck as I'm working around and needing to do things. So this year at least, I'm going to leave it uncovered. I may regret that when time comes to move snow off the deck, but it is what it is. So hope these videos have helped you. Looking forward to sharing more with you as we go. If you have any questions about anything that we're doing, feel free to put them down in the comments, and we will share videos with you soon. Thanks, guys. See you on the next one.